Hello and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for our Feel Good Friday. This is I believe it's the 26th of May. I've been messed up all week with my dates. So welcome and thanks for hanging out with me today. In keeping with trying to keep Fridays light and airy, trying to think about what's funny or what I could talk about that's a little bit lighter, lighter than some of the topics I've talked about this week. And I got thinking about, because I'm in a hotel in Edmonton right now, recording this on late Thursday. I'm in Edmonton because I had meetings all day. It was a group called the Episcopal Circle. The archdeacons come together with our bishop and chat and help sort of advise and make decisions and pray about the future of the church in our diocese. And then this evening we also have executive council, which is a bigger group of people making decisions, but it wouldn't be done until after 9 o'clock at night. So Rob said, why don't you just get a hotel room and stay and come home in the morning, so I don't have to drive in the dark, which is awesome. It's been a long day. But being in a hotel, I'm cheap. I'm very cheap. There's a hotel across the road that's a bit more swanky and costs more money. And I'm like, for one night, I can handle just a cheap hotel. And so it's not a cheap hotel. It's an okay hotel. But being in the hotel and by myself, usually Rob's with me, it's strange. I got so excited I came in. I thought, I have the remote control all to myself. I can watch whatever I want on television. And then I realized there's like nothing on this television. There's like they have every sports channel, the NFL network, TSN times like the sports network, like times 20 different channels. All of these things about all the hockey, the Stanley Cup playoffs and everything, but there's no like normal TV. But that got me thinking about good memories. Being in this hotel room is bringing back good memories from when I was a kid. We moved a lot. My dad was a bank manager, so we moved from town to town. And when we moved, we'd usually stay at least a night or two in a hotel until Mom got us all set up, our bedroom set up and everything. And it was so cool, especially when I was like less than 9, because I only had one sister then. And so my parents would get the rooms with 2 double beds, and my sister and I would share a bed, and we'd hunker down. We had to stay up late because what do you do with the TV on? And they didn't have tilt TVs, the ones where now you can swing them in a different direction. Back in the day, they had TVs with tubes, so the TV was set and you couldn't move it. And no matter how hard the parents tried to say to the kids, now close your eyes, turn on, look at the wall, don't watch TV. Like, really? We'd flip over and we'd have one eye open watching TV and which meant that until we fell asleep, there was nothing interesting for the parents to watch. Not that my parents watched anything racy or anything, but like there's no adult TV like Dallas or Dynasty or things like that until we fell asleep. But just thinking back on those days, remember the old magic fingers? Or the bed would vibrate and you pop a quarter in there. That was the biggest thing for my sister and I. Beg quarters from my dad, and we just like spread eagle on the bed and vibrate and talk. So our voices would go weird, like when you talk into a fan. But being in hotels always meant an adventure. It meant our lives were changing. But our lives, well, at least for me, I can't speak for my sister, my other sister when she came along. But for me, that adventure, that life-changing thing that was happening was always a good thing. I was always up for the event of moving schools and making new friends and trying new places out. And I think a great part of that for me was because of the security of it. My parents were always with us. Quite often my dad would have to move ahead of time, like he'd head up to where his job was, and we'd stay where we were until school was out. But we didn't really notice that he'd come home on weekends and we had our stuff to do. But it was great fun. Like when we would go on what we in the military call a house hunting trip. Back then it was just looking for a house. We'd go up on weekends and go with Mom and Dad to look with real estate agents to look for houses. And guess what? When we got there, we would stay in hotels. And it was fun, like the days, like being the one who got permission to run down with the key to the room. And it was an old-fashioned key with that, that hexagonal plastic keychain. We'd run down with the ice pail and come back with the bag and the pail full of ice. Not entirely sure what, because we didn't drink a lot of pop, but we got that ice. And, Mom would give us a quarter and we'd go down to the vending machine and get a chocolate bar. That's how long ago it was. A chocolate bar or a bag of chips was a quarter. Can you imagine? But just the whole concept of being in a hotel meant that we were changing our lives. We were off onto another adventure, and life was going to be so great. And the best thing about it was that I never felt insecure. Once I got there, yeah, the first day of school, my stomach's upset. I don't think I should go today, because you're nervous about meeting new people and seeing your teacher. And, will the new lock on your locker work? Will you be able to figure out how to open it? Things like that. But the moving part, the going to the hotel, the drive, seeing the new place, going to our new home before our furniture was there, and walking through and seeing all the rooms empty and claiming a bedroom, and this is going to be my bedroom, and this is where my bed's going to be, and this is where my toys will be, was an incredible, incredible feeling. The possibilities were endless, and it all started with a hotel room. I don't necessarily have any possibilities coming at me because I'm staying in a hotel room tonight. I'm going to drive back to Wainwright tomorrow morning, and I'm going to do some business and do some work, and I'm going to go up to Cold Lake, Alberta on Saturday for a parish visit, and go to Vermilion on Sunday, and everything's going to be sort of normal. But there's always a sense when I get to stay overnight in a hotel that maybe this is the time when something's going to change. Maybe God's going to drop some new adventure into my lap. And the fact is, our adventures come all the time. It doesn't have to be completely different. Adventures and new possibilities and new opportunities can happen even when nothing else in our lives changes. Now, I know I am like ultra weird because I like moving. I like new challenges. I like meeting new people. I like being in new towns and new provinces. I've only ever lived in Canada, so I can't say if I'd like living in the States or other place in the world, but I love all this stuff. And realistically speaking, my husband and we're going to stay put. We're probably in Wainwright for many years to come. So the question is, first of all, how can I maneuver some more hotel stays? Holidays. We're taking holidays in August. We'll stay in some hotels. But the other question is, how can I find those adventures? What kind of new things might be happening that don't necessarily need a hotel stay to start them? And the fact is that if you are a seeker of adventure in moving to new places and going places in hotels, or if you just live your life and you've never moved anywhere and you've lived in the same house you lived in when you grew up, adventure finds us all the time. You see, when I think adventure, I think of that word Advent. In the church, Advent is the basically 4 weeks before Christmas, like the 4 Sundays before Christmas in those weeks. And it's the beginning of something. It's the advent of a new season. It's the preparation for Christmas. It's an adventure. So when we think about adventures in our lives, it's thinking about the new beginnings, things that might be happening. So that could be a new relationship, a new child or grandchild. It could be a new job. It could simply be a new book or getting a new car or doing something different. Adventures can be as big or as small as we want them to be. They don't have to be massive, like picking yourself up and moving all of your stuff from your house in one place to, another province completely. An adventure could be making the decision to try a new hobby. Maybe you've never been a hiker and you think, I think I'd like to go hiking. And you go out and you get yourself proper shoes or hiking boots, and maybe you get some walking sticks, and you do a little bit of research and you find out where are the good walking trails, the hiking trails, and maybe you find a friend and you go off and you do that. And in that adventure of hiking, what do you get? Well, you get exercise, which is good for your health, and fresh air, provided you're not walking around here and with all the forest fires. You might take a friend with you, and then it's an opportunity to either meet new people or to connect with someone in a completely different way. Because when we walk with somebody, we have different conversations. It's different than when we're driving and we have to be paying attention to the road, or we can see the scenery going by really quickly. When we walk with someone, whether we walk in silence or we chat and kibitz as we go, there's a completely different way of interacting with each other. Or whether you're walking alone or you're walking with another person, walking can introduce you to new sights and sounds like birds and small animals, maybe even some big ones. If you're going to go for a hike someplace where you might run into some big animals, might be a good idea to research how do you deal with it if you come face to face with them. Sometimes hightailing it out of there isn't a smart thing to do. Although for me, if I ran into something big, I think that's what I would want to do myself. But adventures can be something like that, starting up a new hobby. An adventure could be taking up a new trade, a new challenge at work. An adventure could be, you know, making the decision that you're going to write a book or poetry or start painting. An adventure could be to take time to meditate and discover what it is to do something that maybe if you're not a sit down and be quiet kind of person, meditation might be quite the adventure, and it might be one that needs some practice. And that's the thing with an adventure. It doesn't have to be something you're good at. You don't have to know everything ahead of time. You can know some things, but the best kinds of adventures are the ones that give you new knowledge, the kind of experiences that introduce you to something that you've never known before. For me, my greatest adventures have been moving to new places, meeting new people, doing new jobs. For you, it could be simply taking the time to start gardening, or to go out and meet some new people, or volunteer someplace. What kinds of ways is God calling you to start a new thing, to begin the advent of a new era, a new chapter in your book? What kind of adventure will you have, and where will you start? Will it be in a hotel room? Or might it be just simply by walking out your front door? Whatever you choose for your adventures this weekend, I pray that you have fun and that you're fulfilled and that you have an incredible time. Share with me some of your best adventures. I will see you again on Sunday for Gospel on the Go or Monday for Church at Home with Rachel. God bless everybody. Have a great weekend.